Welcome to another episode of Manifestation for Assholes. This podcast is for people who want to integrate their inner asshole. Our mission is to show others how to manifest their dream relationship, whether they are in one or not. I am Jake Worthington, and with me, as always, is my lovely wife, Carissa.
We have gotten hitched.
Yes, today we want to talk about safe love. We are also attempting to go live on, I believe, our Facebook page. Manifest want to catch us live on that. Today is safe love, and what we're talking about with safe love is something that is actually near and dear to each of us. As many of you know, or if you don't know, Carissa and I have a very colorful past.
Yeah, we do.
And we have a colorful past in relationships, and we have a colorful past outside of relationships. But being safe love, basically, let me just give you the umbrella term. You can think of it this way. If a relationship doesn't work for everybody, then it doesn't work for anybody. That's basically it. But we're going to take safe love and we're actually going to break this down inside of our community, inside of our membership, the Manifestation Misfits Playground, which we're unrolling as we speak. We're taking this moment to actually record this podcast to get everybody up to speed on some things that are going on with us behind the scenes, and also to talk about manifesting your dream relationship. That is something that Carissa and I know wholeheartedly that we can help absolutely anybody do. I don't care if you've been homeless. I don't care if you are a combat veteran. I don't care if you've been admitted to a psych ward. You deserve safe love.
Period.
Done. Safe love begins with self, of course. As you know, we got to make sure that we are actually, we got to make sure that we do our part. We got to make sure that we're coming to the table. We got to make sure that we're doing the work that we need to do to be okay with self. But then also we need to make sure that that when we're out there and we're in the dating world and things like that, that we're really creating a safe environment for our loved ones. Do you want to take over from there, Carissa?
Yeah, I want to share with them what safe love stands for. Let me pull up my notes. Okay, so the first letter, S, okay, this is going to be a part. I'm just going to give you guys kind of a brief description because this is in our membership that is going to be up and running hopefully by the end of the month here. So just in a couple of weeks. Inside Manifestation Misfits Playground, we use a framework called Safe Love. The acronym, so it starts with S, which stands for self-worth and subconscious beliefs. And so there are three main components to manifestation. Here with us, we are primarily focusing on how to manifest your dream relationship. So your self-worth and your subconscious beliefs about love is what will determine whether or not you can successfully manifest a safe, healthy, fulfilling, wildly passionate, pleasurable relationship with another person. And then the A is for accountability. So as many of us know, I think most of our listeners are adults. Being accountable is so important. Being accountable, in my opinion, is the ultimate way to really manifest what you want. Because when you're not being accountable, when you're not being responsible for your thoughts, for your habits, for your behaviors, you're not going to be able to manifest anything. Well, that's not true. You're going to be able to manifest all of the, not anything that you actually want. You'll be able to manifest, people, place, and things and experiences that are not desirable, like trauma and drama. You will be able to manifest that, but you won't be able to manifest your heart's truest desires. And I think for many of us, that's love, that's acceptance, that's feeling significant in your world, that's peace, right? Like being able to go to sleep with your head down at night and feel peaceful. So being accountable is really about owning your patterns, your reactions, your emotional responses. And I don't want you guys thinking that you have to be perfect with this. Jake and I really love helping people that have a history of trauma and a history of addiction. And like he says, we come from a very colorful past. Put those words together. So here's kind of like an example of accountability when you're first getting started. Let's say you've had a series of toxic relationships and now you are in a healthy-ish relationship, but you're bringing in some of those old shitty behaviors. When you get triggered, when you get mad, when you feel insecure, you're bringing in this big, wild tantrum. And you're aware of it. You have enough awareness that you're like, fuck, I don't want to treat my partner like this. They're going to leave me. How do I do better? You want to do better, but you don't really know how yet. So you can start just by being accountable, right? You can literally go to your partner. Let's say you have a big blowout. You're not impressed with how you acted, and you just take accountability, right? So it would look like this, like, Jake, honey, I'm so sorry for my behavior last night. I realized I was a pretty big asshole to you, and that is not how I want to act. I don't know really how to do better, so I'm starting with this simple apology and this simple accountability, and I'm willing to do the work that it takes so that I don't treat you like that in the future. Something simple.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so it just looks something simple like that. Like you start from the beginning, you do what you can. And I remember when Jake and I really were our first year, we had a tough year, and we have a lot of family that's very, very threatened by our uprising. So we've dealt with a lot of trauma and drama from outside sources, and we were fighting a lot. And I remember visualizing, because saying sorry was very hard for me. So I remember visualizing, I'm gonna be in my divine feminine, and I'm gonna walk up to him in this beautiful, like, flowy dress with my hair blowing in the wind, and just be like, honey, I'm so sorry for my behavior. And in my head, it was like just this beautiful, vulnerable, soft apology, completely owning my shitty behavior, and him just being so receptive and holding me and hugging me, and we worked through it together. That is not how the apology actually happened in real life. I remember it would be like, so, like, about yesterday, like, I guess I'm, like, whatever, like, I'm sorry. Like, it did not come out as good in real life as it did in my head, and that's okay. Like, that was just the basics. And it's like anything else in life. I'm high, I gotta take off my sweatshirt. It's like anything else in life. You just practice. Practice being accountable. Practice.
Yep. And now, accountability also is not just apologizing. Accountability is showing up the way that you are meaning to show up. Taking accountability is literally taking full accountability. Something that Chris has told me since the day I met her is that manifestation is the ultimate accountability game.
That's what I was trying to say. Thank you,
Yep.
honey.
You're welcome. Assist. So it's the ultimate accountability game. Accountability is not just saying sorry after you fuck up. Okay? Accountability is showing up in the relationship the way that you're supposed to show up. Like in my previous relationship, I worked all day and I was doing like sometimes 5, 6, 12-hour days. I was in construction, I was working a lot, right? And then I'd come home and I felt like I had completely earned my rest. I felt like I had completely earned my ability to do whatever the hell Jake wanted.
Wait, babe, hold
And
on. You just said I was doing 5, 6, 12-hour days.
yeah, 5 or 6
Days a
12-hour
week.
days. Yeah, in a week.
Oh,
Yeah.
got it, got it. I was like, he went
Yeah.
up a lot of hours there.
Yeah. So but accountability means like, hey, I can't just work. As a man, you can't just work and think that you're actually doing something for your family. All you're doing is providing money. Being accountable. So accountability is so much more than just apologizing for bad behavior. So that's where we get into this a lot more in the modules within our course. But a brief overview of accountability is literally owning your shit, like owning your good behavior, owning your bad behavior, owning your habits, or owning your patterns. Like accountability is just that. It's not for the faint of heart. So
No.
believe me, this is why we're rebels. This is why we're manifestation for assholes. You got to be brave. You got to be courageous, and you got to be able to be willing to face some real dark things within inside of yourself so that you can integrate them and move forward with a lot less anger, a lot less hostility, a lot less excitement, a lot less nervousness, a lot less stress, a lot less anxiety, right? A lot more stability. So accountability is more than just apologizing.
Thank you, hun. I
You're
actually
welcome.
feel like I kind of glossed over S, so I'd like to go back up and address the self-worth and subconscious beliefs. I don't want to talk too much on this because I want to get through all of them for our viewers and for our listeners. So, what I said earlier is that there are three main components to manifestation. The first two components are your self-worth. Okay, so this is a huge part in manifesting your desires, specifically manifesting your soulmate or your dream relationship. So, your self worth is essentially how you feel about yourself, how lovable you think you are. Now, that is a very important component. It's not how lovable you actually are, it's how lovable you think you are. You think you are. That is the determining factor with self-worth. So how awesome you think you are, how amazing you think you are, how capable you think you are, how lovable you think you are, all that is going to bleed into your self-worth, as well as how deserving you think you are. And for recovering assholes like us, sometimes we don't even think that we are deserving of love. Now,
which is why we settle.
which is why we settle. It's why we get into toxic relationships. That's why we'll break up with someone before they can break up with us. And there's so many behaviors that go into this.
So afraid of intimacy, so afraid of deep connection. There's
Yeah.
a lot. Self-worth is a really big thing.
It can be really, really, really scary. And our self-worth and our subconscious beliefs, they determine everything in our reality. Literally everything. I'm not being dramatic. Everything in our reality is determined how we feel about ourselves and the beliefs that we hold about ourselves. So like you'll hear people in the manifestation community, the spiritual community saying, and I'm not judging because I'm totally guilty of doing this. I did it for like 2 or 3 years. When I first started, they will tell you that thoughts create your reality. That's not true. That's not true at all. This is why you can think of a blue elephant and a blue elephant isn't showing up behind me. This is why you can have very intrusive thoughts and those intrusive thoughts don't come true. It's because it's not our thoughts that are manifesting our reality. It's our beliefs that are manifesting our reality. Again, are you deserving of love? Are you deserving of a great career? Are you deserving of wealth? It's whether or not the answer is yes, but it's whether or not you believe you're worthy of that. And then this is still a part of SAFE, still a part of the S. The second component of manifestation that will determine whether or not you get your manifestation. This also determines what you have already manifested in your life, so your self-worth and your subconscious beliefs. The subconscious beliefs are so fun. And I want them to be fun for you guys because it can be a little overwhelming when you find out these fucked up beliefs that you hold. You're like, what? Why would I hold that belief? Doesn't make sense because in your conscious mind you don't want it, but in your subconscious mind you do. Your subconscious is formulated and determined by your childhood, mostly your childhood, traumatic experiences. So let's say you had something really traumatic happen at 15. That can still determine a subconscious belief that you hold about yourself. And one of our coaches, what does she say? She says that the subconscious is kind of like that inner critic, right? That inner asshole that we all have. However, we've had it for so long that we don't necessarily hear it. But if we were to bring awareness to it and actually think about it, we can tell that it's there. And so really starting to bring awareness to your inner asshole, as well as getting curious about your behavior, is what's going to make the unconscious conscious. There's a quote by Carl Jung that I really like. See if I don't want to butcher it. It's not until you make the unconscious conscious that you will be able to determine your life. So, something like that.
Self-worth goes into so much too. Self-worth and subconscious beliefs goes into so much. I know that I struggled with boundaries and setting boundaries and keeping boundaries and holding boundaries and things like that. Basically, being able to speak up for what you deserve is part of self-worth, is part of your subconscious beliefs.
Yeah.
Self-worth is at the bottom of so many things. It really
crazy.
will. And you will see people who have a high self-worth, you'll see that they just literally don't accept bad behavior. They just don't accept that stuff. And they move on as if they're too good for it. And in reality, they literally are. They're literally on a different frequency, and they don't wrestle pigs because you both get covered in shit and the pig likes it.
Yeah. I wanted to look up that quote from Carl Jung because I did want to share it. So it says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And another thing that you just said, honey, that stuck out for me is this is why sometimes you can see people, friends, family, co-workers, or even people online that start practicing manifestation and they just, boom, their whole life explodes into massive goodness and pleasure and riches. And you're like, how on earth do they get it so easily? That's because they might have a higher level of self-worth just to start with. So for people like us that maybe have struggled with self-worth, that have struggled with feeling good about themselves, you know that again through your behavior, right? Are you drinking every single day? Are you partying on the weekend? What do your friends look like? Do you have high quality friends? Do you have any friends, or are you alone? So again, looking at your behavior helps you determine the subconscious beliefs, that because they're subconscious. So it's like, well, how are you supposed to know your subconscious if you literally don't know? It's tucked in there deep. So a really good example for our listeners that want to manifest their soulmate and their dream relationship, a good example of like finding your subconscious belief through behavior is, let's say for instance, are eating, you're eating lunch with your girlfriend and you see a guy and his girlfriend walk inside of the restaurant and the gentleman does not hold the door open for his girlfriend. And you say to your friend, "Oh, God, look at that. Like, what a piece." Right? Boom. That is an indicator. That's an indicator that you hold a belief that men are trash, that you hold a belief that men are unsafe, that you hold a belief men are jerks and love is not possible for you. That doesn't necessarily make any of that true. That is just your understanding. Does that make sense? So that's how you can spot the underlying belief. So if like you say, I wish I had an example because
I can do another one.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
can actually do the inverse of that since it is 2025 and we are in woke culture. You could
Yes,
actually
we
be
are.
sitting there having lunch with your whoever and see a guy and a girl walk in and he does hold the door open and you're like, look at those two. Like that guy's holding the door open as if she can't do it herself and you're old judgy McJudgerson about there being in gender roles and
Yeah,
stereotypes
good
and
one.
whatnot. Those types of things actually will shape your reality. They will shape your reality. So all of those little underlying comments, all of those little underlying things that happen, the subconscious beliefs, right? They exist. Now, they exist for a reason. They probably weren't put there by you because like Carissa said, these are formed usually 0 to 7 years old. And so they probably weren't put there by you. But the fact that they are there now, and as you bring awareness to them, they are something that you can give energy to and you can shift, right? You can
Oh yeah.
shift. You can't snap your fingers and just stop it and change it immediately, right? No matter how many psychedelics you do or whatever, but you can shift it. You can start to bring awareness to it and you can start to make small incremental changes and progress. And that is why we're all about progress, not perfection, right? We're all about identifying it and then making it work. In the process of anything, first you usually need a coach to help bring awareness to it. Then you can start actually noticing it yourself. When that starts to happen, you'll start to notice that you're starting to self-correct. And then once self-correction becomes automatic, then you get to a state of automaticity. But those steps have to happen, right? First, it has to be brought into your awareness. And so that is where working with a coach, even if it's not us, working with coaches is something that you should definitely do. So moving on, we got S, which is self-worth and subconscious beliefs. We got A, which is accountability, and we got F, which for me was a motherfucking mountain.
Me too.
The F is forgiveness.
The F word.
Forgiveness. Now,
Ooh, scary.
please, I hope you didn't just turn off the podcast right when I said the F word. Okay, it is a daunting word for me. I went to countless hours of therapy since I was a child, and they would always say, "Jake, you need to work on forgiveness." And they were always usually talking about forgiveness of self. They were usually talking about forgiving others or forgiveness of self. But for our purposes here in the relationships, we're talking about both. We're talking about all of it, all right? That word of forgiveness. First, if you're like us and you have a colorful past, you most likely have done some harm, even self-inflicted harm. And I don't just mean cutting or anything like that. I'm talking about behaviors and habits that have brought you pain and scars that nobody can see. I'm talking about those internal traumas, those things that sometimes when you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't feel so good about yourself because you have that memory of that thing you did, right? Forgiveness is a process. It is a process. And so we go through steps of like how to even warm up to the idea of the big F word, forgiveness. It is a big thing. And just remember, there's so many things that I heard about this word that it was like nails on chalkboard. I mean, my ears, I put my freaking, I didn't want to hear it. I couldn't hear it. I would shut down every time somebody talked about forgiveness. And just remember, I am a combat veteran. Some of the things I've done in Iraq, I am not proud of. And some of the things I've done even before Iraq in high school, I am not proud of. Some of the things I've done since, I am not proud of. Forgiveness was such a bear, such a mountain, such a thing that I couldn't even start with that. That is why we're not starting with that. We start with S, then we go to A, okay? And then it's a process. So we take you through some steps to like crack open the door of possibility of forgiveness. And Chris and I both know that one of the biggest lessons for our souls to learn on this planet is self-forgiveness. It's a really big lesson for your soul. Overcoming fear, and then self-forgiveness. Those are two really big lessons for
Huge.
Earth School, if you want to get that woo-woo about it, okay? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it, believe me, I've been around the world. I've seen some stuff. I've done some stuff, okay? So I am trying to bridge the gap between complete freaking badass Marine killer and spirituality.
Yeah.
Cool. And actually I'm trying to bridge the gap and bring some love and shine some light into these darker areas. I have integrated my darkness and my shadows. I fully know who I've been and I fully know who I am. And I'm here to try to help other people who are suffering bring themselves back up to a love frequency so that we can all contribute to the world in a much better way.
Yeah, I'm so happy you said that, babe, because really this work is not just about you. It's not just about us. It is about the entire planet. It is about humanity. It is about the children that are being raised now and then their children and really leaving the world a better place, one soul at a time. And so imagine if every single human caught on to this forgiveness method, and even if they had resistance to it, but they slowly started practicing forgiveness over a course of 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you can fully integrate and forgive the harm that's been done to you and the harm that you've done to others, right? We have a lot of narcissistic people surrounded by us in our family, and like they absolutely cannot forgive themselves or others. And that shows. It shows in their life, it shows in their skin, it shows in their body, it shows in their behaviors. And it's just like forgiveness, you guys, I want to tell you, it's not about the other person. That is such an important part of this. It is not. Many of us have truly been victimized, and forgiving the person that hurt you is so not about the other person. You don't have to like them. You don't have to love them. You don't have to accept the bad behavior. You have to find the forgiveness in your heart so that you are liberated, so that you are set free. You can look at this person who is harming you currently or has harmed you in the past. If you really try to have like a bird's eye view, have like a visualization of you coming out of your body, have a bird's eye view, see this person in their life, and you can see how miserable they are. You can tell they don't have joyous relationships. You can tell they don't have true, honest, accountable, authentic connection with their children. No, they're usually controlling, they're bossy, they're egocentric. It's all about them. Like they're not taking accountability. They're on a bunch of different prescription pills just so they can fall asleep at night. Not that I want to judge that because there's reasons for being on those. I totally understand. But you can usually tell that a person who's not walking around with love for themselves, they're just miserable. And so then that kind of helps you take a little compassion on them and then understand why they hurt you. It has nothing to do with you. They hate themselves. They truly hate themselves. That really is the problem and the answer.
Yeah. And we can say they hate themselves. We could say they have low self-worth. We can say a lot
Yeah.
of different things. And honestly, true, part of forgiveness though is also sometimes forgiving yourself for hurting others.
Oh, that's a hard one.
It's a hard one. And forgiving yourself for hurting others, and those people may not forgive you, right? They may
Yeah,
not ever forgive you.
and that's okay.
And then how to move on and move forward in life, knowing that you've hurt another person and knowing that they didn't deserve it, and knowing that there's no reconciliation that can come from it and whatever, and how to move forward in life. So I'm just right here at this moment. I want to tell you, if you haven't heard this before, even if you have hurt other people, you are still deserving of love. You are still deserving of self-love. You are still deserving of forgiveness, and you are still deserving of a good life, of a nice life, of nice things. You're still deserving of those things. Okay. It's not that you get a free pass, but again, accountability comes first. Accountability comes first, and then you can move forward.
Yeah. And I want to touch on that just a tad and then we can move on to the next letter. I feel like I lost it. Oh, because I really struggled with self-forgiveness because I had done a lot of bad shit in my alcoholism. And so the reason why it's important to forgive yourself, it helped me to understand the benefit towards society, the benefit for my family is if I didn't work on forgiving myself, then I was just going to stay an angry, miserable woman, thus making the chances of hurting my child, my children, my now husband, my clients, society, my family, but were much higher, right? If you're staying angry, you're staying miserable, you're not doing any growth, you're not taking any accountability, you will continue to hurt people. There is no way out of it. You can white knuckle it for a while. Maybe you'll last a couple months, maybe you'll last a couple years, but you're eventually going to have another blowout and you will hurt someone. Or you're not going to be nurturing relationships to the capacity that they could be nourished and fulfilling for yourself and others. So if you need to step outside of yourself and be like, well, I'm going to practice forgiving myself for my daughter's benefit, for my husband's benefit. In that practice, you'll slowly start to forgive yourself and love yourself and understand that you are worthy of the forgiveness. And the best way to do that is to go out and help another person. Go volunteer. If you don't like people, go volunteer at the animal shelter. Do 1 hour a week if you're really, really busy. Doing something for someone else helps you feel good about yourself. And once you raise that self-worth just a little, you get the thought of, I do deserve forgiveness. Okay. And it starts that whole process. Okay.
Absolutely.
Moving on to E.
E.
Edward.
E. E stands for evolution.
Evolution of the soul.
Yeah, evolution of the soul, evolution, right? And I mean, just think about that word. Hang on one second. Let me define it real quick.
Good idea.
To evolve, it is an intransitive verb for all of you English majors out there. It is to develop or achieve gradually, okay? Now, that is why we brought in the word evolution and evolve. It is because it's a gradual process. As you're evolving, you are shedding your skin, right? Just like a snake sheds its skin, you shed your skin. Just like a snail outgrows its shell and needs to find a new one, you outgrow your shell and find a new one. These types of things that we're doing here, it is a process. It is not about perfection. It is about progress, as we've mentioned before. And believe me, we didn't write that phrase. So as we're looking at these things, and as you're looking at evolution, one of the things you need to remember is that you're doing this for you. You're doing this work for you. You're doing it for the future of your lineage. You're doing it for whether you're in a relationship or not, you're doing it for your relationship. You're doing it for your children. But you may not be allowed to evolve in the eyes of everybody who knows you. And that is not your problem. That is their problem. For me, for instance, I am receiving a lot of pushback, even for this very podcast.
People we don't even fucking know or talk to. It's so weird.
So I'm receiving a lot of pushback to
So
the
weird.
point. So it's wild.
You're
But
talking about me.
the amount of so what we're trying to do is evolve. What we're trying to do is change gradually and slowly. I will not continue to be the Jake that was the alcoholic Jake. And the amount that I was drinking and the amount that I was basically like really contributing to my own demise and actively pursuing my own death. I'm not that guy anymore. And I am going to evolve past that. Some people might want to remember me as that guy, and that's okay. You can remember me as that guy. There was some fun parts of that guy. And then there was some really not fun parts of that guy and some really scary parts of that guy. But either way, as I'm evolving, right? I'm not saying I'm evolved. I'm not saying I'm changed. I'm saying I'm changing. I'm not saying I'm the finished product. I don't want to be the finished product. I'm
Right.
going to continue working and seeing how good I can get my life. That's my process. I'm going to evolve my life and see how good I can get this thing to go. The old phrase, I say it as often as I can, how big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail? I want all of my people to be back in my life. I want my family to be back in my life. I want all of these things, right? But I'm not going to be held to the same person that I was. I'm not I'm not holding them to who they were either. I literally am like, years have passed since I've last talked to them, and they still think I'm some guy that they don't even know. So evolution is a process. So as you're making these changes and as you're looking at this, let's say you're in relationship. Let's say you're in relationship and there's been some hurt, right? Carissa and I know all about that.
Yeah.
You're in,
Betrayal.
if you're in a relationship and there's been hurt, you're looking for progress in those things. It's like a two-step forward, one step back sometimes. Sometimes it's two steps forward, three steps back, and then two steps forward and whatever. It's not a linear thing. It's not a constant gradual thing. It is an up and down. It is a roller coaster. It is a whole lot of things. But what you're looking for is an evolution. Are we making progress over the long ways? Are we getting better? Are we healing? Are we in the process of healing? Because if you're in a relationship and you two have hurt each other, um, it's not that the relationship's over, because believe me, that means you're going to get into the next relationship, and the second that there's some hurt, you're going to be like, okay, and then enter Jay-Z, on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one, right? I'm talking about you're eventually, in order to reach a mature love, you're going to have to work on
Yeah.
working past and
Work
through
through it.
some hurt, right? And that's the evolution that we're talking about to create safe love. To create safe love, I've got to evolve. To create safe love, I got to understand that while I'm evolving, my woman is evolving as well. I need to check in with her. She's not the person that she was when we started dating. So all of you people who are out there going, "Where's the passion from when we first started dating?" It's like, bro, live in the now. Let's get
Yeah.
present. Who's your woman right now? Get to know her as if you're dating again, because I promise the passion will come right behind that. Okay? Evolution. The only thing that this is a world of motion. Everything in this world is in motion. Everything is either evolving or devolving. Don't take my word for it. Read Walter Russell. But everything is in the process of motion. This is a process of motion. So evolution is a process of learning, making mistakes, learning, making mistakes, learning, making mistakes, trying again, trying something differently, changing it a little bit, changing it here, making those little micro corrections, right? That's evolution. And that's what you need to do. And it's a constant process in your relationship. You need to do it for yourself. You need to do it for your relationship. And you need to allow that your partner and everybody else that you know is also in their own process of evolution. That's why when you go out to lunch with friends, it's important to be like, hey, what's new with you? What you got going on? Because they do have new shit going on. They haven't just sat there and done nothing since the last time you talked to them. I step off my soapbox now. Pardon me. I kind of went on a rant.
That was great, honey. That was great. You said something that I want to piggyback on, but I didn't write it down. And on my mom and ADHD brain.
It's okay. I might have just crushed it, but evolution.
Yeah. No, you definitely did. I wanted to say, the acceptance of some people won't evolve. That is a freaking big one. I've always been someone that likes control, right? Like I have no problem being the leader of the pack. I have no problem, I raise my hand first in all my coaching courses that I'm in. And if there's a lot of great benefits to being kind of a controlling person, because when something happens, if there's like chaos or trauma, like boom, I'm in it. I'm like, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. I don't get emotional and freak out. Jay can even attest to that, because we were just in a car accident and I was like extremely calm within, and so is he, like in the car accident. It was like, are you okay? Let me go check on the other car that hit us. Okay, are we bleeding? No, we're not. Okay, and you just go into this motion. So tangent on that one, but what was I saying? Some people won't. So being someone who likes control, I've always wanted to like save my mom. I've always wanted to like help my friends, like come in and I'm like, I have the information. You can evolve just like me. Some people don't want to. I was in my very last AA meeting that I ever went to. A gentleman shared after I led the meeting, And he legitimately said, I don't ever think about enlightenment. I don't ever think about evolving. And I was like, one, my first thought was, okay, I'm in the wrong fucking room. Okay. Two, I was like, how do you not think about that? And if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably someone that does think about it. You're probably someone that is really involved in personal development, that cares about their spiritual growth, that cares about their soul's evolution. So kudos to you. However, if you are that person, you probably have friends and family that are not into it. And that could be really challenging. And you just have to accept that everybody has their own level of consciousness, and some people will truly not evolve. They will die at the same consciousness level and the same evolutionary standpoint that they're at. And it's not our job. In fact, don't even waste time on them. Like, we don't even waste time on the people in our family that don't want to evolve. We don't try to have conversations with them. We don't try to work through it. We're just like, you're miserable. That's your choice. We're here when you're ready, if you're ever ready. And we focus on the people who do want to evolve. We focus on our little girls that want to evolve. We focus on our clients. We focus on the friends that do want to pick our brain and ask our expertise. We don't give any energy to the ones that don't. And that's really just about radical acceptance. Like, okay, I can't change my parents. I can't change my sisters or brothers or what have you. You have to just accept and be grateful that for whatever reason, you are getting it in this lifetime. For whatever reason, God has chosen, you and God have chosen together that you will wake up in this lifetime as this iteration of you. Because that is a blessing. That's
Yes.
what I wanted to say.
Nice, good job. And I do want to throw out one more thing here that this is all of this work is deeply personal, right? It is about you. And the more that we're starting to worry about whether or not someone else is evolving,
Yeah.
we are judging other people, and we got to be careful about judging because everybody is out there doing their life the way that they are allowed to fucking do it. That is one of the benefits about living in this free world, whatever free-ish world, whatever you want to go down that rabbit hole. But the benefits here is that we all have sovereignty over our own mind, and nobody gets to tell you to run. Nobody gets to tell you to not run. Nobody gets to tell you to move faster. Nobody gets to tell you to do any of those things. You get to live your life however you want to live it. Evolution and this aspect, as Carissa said, like wanting other people to be somewhere that you think they should be, right? Parents do this to children all the
Yeah.
time, right?
Tilt.
Parents do this to children all the time. You want your kids to be further along than they are. So this is something where the radical acceptance that Carissa said, right? Like meeting people where they're at and loving them for who they are, not for who they are not.
Exactly who they are. And that can be so, I think that right there, babe, I'm happy you said that because that can be the hard part. It's like you don't really want to change your friends and family who are happy, even if they're not very spiritual, even if they're not really evolving. If they're happy, they're happy. It's the ones that are in pain, right? It's the ones that you can see that they're miserable, the ones that you can see that they hate themselves. You're like, oh my God, you want to help them, you want to educate them, you want to share with them and pour into them all the love and all the wisdom and all the knowledge that you've accrued. And you like in your mind, you're like, well, I could help you. You could be happier if you just listen to me. And it's like, that's none of your business. It's none of your
Yeah.
business.
But babe, remember I've told you like who I was for so long, right? I was
Exactly.
for so
Same.
long. Anybody that told me anything, I immediately discredit them because I have been to Iraq and I have killed people, right?
You know
So
everything.
I was like, if you knew what I knew, you wouldn't be walking around here trying to save the world, little girl, with your little spiritual woo-woo stuff. Like, oh God, completely, please. I used to
Like
vomit.
literally what Jake said to me right when we were dating. He's like, okay, all right, little girl.
I did. I'm like, yeah, okay, you're cute. Okay, yeah. Judge. Yeah. But it is wild, right? Like if you knew what I knew about the world, then you would be miserable too, is what
Yeah.
I used to believe. And I believed it and was going to go to my grave with that everybody else. And I honestly felt like it was like a badge of honor. I think I've spoke about this before. I honestly felt like it was like my duty to carry this weight and this burden on behalf of the citizens of the United States as a combat veteran. This is my cross to bear. And holy puke. I understand it. I get it. I've done it. I lived it for a long time. But when you're ready for for a different perspective, I'll happily hop on a conversation with you, especially if you're a veteran. Just give me an email. I'll hop on a freaking phone call with you and we'll discuss it because I didn't realize what I was doing and why I was doing it. I have a friend who I served with, and I checked in on him the other day, and he's a good man and is successful in very many areas. And he a while ago I heard that his wife and kids packed up and left, and it is strange because I do know that so many people are like, I can't believe that happened. What do you mean? Well, when you are not emotionally available to your family, things get weird. And we stand
Yeah.
there we stand there and we justify it, and we justify it for all the other reasons of this is, well, don't you see everything I am doing? Don't you see everything I am doing? Isn't that enough? But honestly, there's a whole level. It's called EQ. Carissa, you want to talk for a minute about EQ, your emotional
That's your
quotient?
emotional quotient.
Wh-
I love talking about the EQ because I did an IQ test and I was happy with the results. And I kind of became like this smarty pants, bossy, superior little doctor's daughter. But I had no EQ. Like I was pretty much a fucking toddler in an adult body. And that really bothered me, mostly because I was raising a daughter and I really wanted to be a good example for her. I did not want her to grow up and have the same struggles that I had. So I knew that I needed to model that behavior. And so your emotional quotient is really another word is your emotional maturity level. It's where you're at in regards to, I don't like to say controlling your emotions because we can't really, and we don't really want to control them. We want to contain them.
Identify them, though. We want to identify.
Identify that. Oh, can we post things in here? Because that would be really cool. We have something in our home. We have it as a picture in our phones. And also, you could grab it right now, honey, because you're right there in the living
Oh yeah,
room.
huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
We have a feeling wheel as a pillow. We use this with each other and we use this on our daughters, mostly our 12-year-old, to really help understand the emotions. Yeah. Yeah.
Gifted
So
to us by our friend Kate.
yep. So it's kind of hard to tell. Oh, you also can't see me pointing, can you? So yeah, perfect. Right there, hun. Go a little to your right. Just a tad. Yep, perfect. So you start right here with how you're feeling with these big emotions. Are you angry, disgusted, sad, surprised, bad, or feel fearful? Those are the ones that are going to be your primary ones. And then once you identify, I'm feeling fearful, then you extend out and you identify, is it scared, anxious, insecure, weak, rejected, threatened? Once you pick those emotions, then you extend out from there. Thank you, honey. That's great. And what's so great about this is, I mean, Jake and I do this for work, and we still have emotionally charged events where we can't identify what we're feeling. We're like, we're just mad, right? And we're like little toddlers because you kind of revert, you go back into the amygdala, and your brain, when you're in fear, you go back to the amygdala. There's a lot that goes into that we're not going to explain right now. But you essentially go back to like a childlike state, and the prefrontal cortex isn't working as well as it normally would if you were not in an emotionally charged state. So you can sit down, you can use your feeling wheel and really identify. And I don't know the science behind it yet of what happens in your brain just by identifying correctly what you feel, but just that alone takes the power out of it. Where you're like, "Oh, I'm feeling weak. That makes me
There's a
feel
relief.
vulnerable." Yeah, it's a huge relief. And then you're like, "Oh, I'm feeling scared." Like you knew you were mad, but you didn't know that scared was really involved. So it, like, just in the identification of the emotions, you feel a sense of control come back over you. And then you allow the body to feel the feelings. It's just a sensation. Nothing bad is going to happen to you. Even a panic attack is just an uncomfortable sensation within the body, within the human apparatus that we chose to come here and experience. And so you start to raise your EQ, your emotional quotient, your emotional maturity level by practicing, methods like this, a simple feeling wheel inside the home. And then when you're teaching this to your children, they're never going to have to really use a feeling wheel as an adult because they will be so emotionally regulated that they'll just be in a flow-like state.
Yeah, they'll be able to identify the feelings that they're having, and they'll be able to kind of talk about them in a much different way.
Correct.
Now that's interesting. We did talk about this. So E, we mentioned in this podcast that it is evolution. We also mentioned before that we might choose E to be emotional frequency, and so this is kind of piggybacking on that. So
Oh,
E
that's right.
almost,
We can decide. That's
yeah.
right.
So we'll see how that. If you're going to do that, you might as well use your finger there, hon.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. So
Almost. I must ask you a question.
A mustache.
I
So
must ask you a question.
that is safe. Now we're going to get into a little bit of love. You want to do that right now?
I think we should do part two.
Part two?
Yeah, that way
Part
we
two.
can give our listeners a little bit of a break. You know, it's been almost an hour, and
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. You heard from the queen herself that we will be doing this in part two. Ladies and gentlemen, if nobody has told you today, you are a miracle. Um, we are proud of you, and you are 100% deserving of exactly the kind of relationship that you want, whether you are in a relationship or not. You are the artist. You are the person that can create it. We are showing you how inside of our manifestation misfits playground, and we are helping people bring into alignment, bring into their life the exact kind of relationship that they want. So thank you so much for tuning in.
thank you guys. We missed you. It's been awesome to be back as a married couple, and we'll see you next
Absolutely. We've been through a lot since we last saw you, and we're so happy to be back. So
time.
we'll talk soon.